that time again. It's that time again. I've got my lucky jacket on, man. Lucky jersey on, man. No, what's up?
So we are invited to Power FM to give a talk about rates and taxes when it comes to property investing. It's early in the morning. What I'm hearing in my mind is good morning. Ooh, what time is it? What time is it, bro?
Right now it's 1:45 and we are scheduled to go live at 2:30. I'm really excited about this, man.
Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
Power Zone, midnight to 3 a.m.
Welcome back to the last stretch of the Power Zone on Power 98.7. I have the dynamic duo, this being the Nong brothers here in studio, Oleboheng and Neo. They're property investors and founders of Nong Wealth. We're going into our property talk this morning, just putting under the spotlight just issues of property rates and taxes. We'll be learning about levies as well this morning because there seems to be a bit of a burden this on most homeowners because of the whole fluctuation. We'll try and understand how the fluctuation also works here and if it's working at our disadvantage as homeowners or it can spook you as someone that wants to go into this property space or want to buy a property. So we called the brothers in this morning to help us understand all of this. How are these rates calculated? How are they collected? What do they mean? Where does this money really go? We'll talk all of this and get tips as well for potential home buyers. We are on 0861 987 000 at Power FM 987 on Twitter. The hashtag that we're rallying behind this morning is hashtag Power Zone. I have Lebo and Nell in studio. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Okay, good morning to everybody. The dynamic duo. That's a cool one.
Man. and this actually kind of gave them a smile on the face when they walked in. So it kind of tells us that it's going to be a beautiful morning, right? So we're keeping that tag, the dynamic duo. So they're here with us until the hour 3 o'clock. You guys are in this space. And I'm sure when you hear issues of levies, when you hear someone talking about how then what is happening in this space, the charges and the likes, it's not something that is a little bit of a surprise. Is this what one should brace themselves for when they're going into this space? That you're going to face property rates, you're going to face those taxes as well that come through the levies, and we're hearing as well that sometimes all of these things tend to fluctuate.
100, man. And there's also special levies that we need to take into consideration.
Listen. How do they work?
So when it comes to rates and taxes and also levies, right, we need to take into consideration that one is being paid to the municipal, the other one is being paid to the body corporate. So in this case, then we know that our levies are paid to the corporate, the body corporate, and then the rates and taxes are then paid to your municipal.
And do they also then differ in terms of the property that I have? If maybe probably I'm living in a mansion and the other person is living in a bachelor, will they then to differ or is there like a standard fixed amount that would go into your levies and the likes?
Of course. So it will vary from one apartment to the next. Even with houses, it's different. So I'll give you a classic example. If someone is in a 1-bedroom and someone is in a 3-bedroom, obviously the consumption is going to be different. One might use more water than the other one. So it only makes sense for them to not be paying the same amounts. So it will vary from one situation to another. A person who is actually in a 1-bedroom would actually be paying less than a person that's living in a 3-bedroom.
Can I also add on that one?
Yes,
right?
sir.
It's heavily determined by the price, the value of your property. So of course, 1-bedroom versus the 3 bedrooms, that will affect how much you're paying. How much you're paying?
I mean, yeah, let's pray on, man. Look, and also when you look at it, then would you say that if maybe let's say it's from the municipality's side, would it be a fixed amount because it's coming from the municipality, or even there you'd find that it kind of differs due to what your consumption or how or where your property is positioned?
Okay, so when it comes to consumption, we need to be careful, right? So water and electricity, it's also not part of your rates and taxes. So when you're looking at your rates and taxes, we are looking at the street maintenance, because I know some people will be like, why do we still need to pay if we're having potholes and all of that?
Yeah.
The lights that are outside and also your parks. So this is us really paying with regards to the municipality, and also it differs from one municipality to another. And we were reading this other article whereby in Cape Town it was saying that they have decreased by about 1%, whereas in Johannesburg it's increased by 2%.
It goes up, man. And then it becomes trickier there, right?
Of course. If I can just add on what Neo is saying right now, for every person for everyone who's actually planning on buying a property, I would urge you to ask for the rates and taxes statement. Because what happens is that sometimes estate agent might not put the real amount of the rates that you might be paying. Now, if you didn't ask for that rates and taxes bill from the last month, you won't really understand how much you're going to be paying. So sometimes you find out that you've budgeted at around 800, only to find out when you do move in, you'd be paying around 1,005. So I think that's something that a lot of people really need to take into consideration before buying the first property.
And also then when you look at it, do we see them changing, or do we see them just moving to the new buyer? Let's say, for instance, I'm buying a property and this person hasn't been paying their rates and taxes for years now. And would it have some sort of an implication on me as a new buyer? And is this something that then you would need the estate agent to be transparent to say that this is what you're going into? On top of you paying this property, 3.8 million, there's still now this large chunk of money that you need to do away with because of this outstanding backlog in terms of how this person has not been paying or obliging to what they have to.
It depends about which approach are we taking. So if we're looking at the auctions, and this is something that we really, really need to be careful about. When it comes to auction, we're understanding that we're buying as is with that amount. So we need to pay careful attention when they're starting and they're speaking, how much did they say the property is owing? Because you find out that, yes, we bought it at 300,000, but only to find out that we are owing 500,000 and properties in that area are selling for 600. So ultimately we didn't buy cheap. Whereas the conventional way through an estate agent, it's that conversation in terms of how much is it owing, and then they need to actually make sure that the seller actually settles that bill before it transfers to your name. However, there are special cases whereby it will be like the seller would then tell you that I do not have enough money to be paying these guys, so can you also take this bill? Then it's up to you to make sure that do you agree or disagree as the buyer.
Can I find myself maybe probably in the wrong side of the law if, for instance, I just avoid paying these taxes, or I decide to just neglect and say that, listen, I was not told that this is what, is going to face me. I moved in here so excited, but now it's so difficult. Listen, I'm not even going to touch these rates and whatnot. I'm not paying them. I'm going it's every day as it goes.
Yeah. So in South Africa, they're a bit lenient, right? So it will accumulate until the property has to be registered into the next person's name. Now, we see this happening a lot of times whereby a parent passed on and they're giving the property to the next of kin. Now, if a property is going to be registered into the next person's name, the rates and taxes needs to be paid. Now, if it's not paid, that means that the property can't be registered into the next person's name. So it will only catch up to you when the property needs to be transferred. It could be in terms of inheritance, or it could be selling the property.
And in terms of body corporate, how do they work? Do we see them then now, unlike municipalities, they now have that authority to come and say that, hey, we are locking your flat. We are basically putting you out to give you some sort of a vacate notice of some sort to say that, oh, we're switching off your lights, those kind of activities, because you are not obliging to what you said you would pay every end of the month. Does it differ there?
Yes. So there was a case whereby someone was actually owing a lot to a particular in a particular apartment, to a point whereby the body corporate actually went as far as selling the property. Now, that's something that you really need to understand, that you can't run away forever. At some point, it is actually going to catch up with you. It might be that the body corporate might take that harsh decision that you need to sell the property or pay us, or it might mean that when you do sell the property, they're going to be minusing it before you get your money.
Is it easier when you're renting than when you're owning some of these things? Or basically, levies will be levies and tariffs will be tariffs. It doesn't really matter.
You know, it depends again how you're looking at it, because again, if let's just say that they did go up and now my lease agreement only ends end of this year, I can't just increase it as a property investor. So it is really a difficult one.
Yeah. It becomes trickier there. But I also wanted to understand then, does it matter if I'm buying a standalone, freestand? Does it matter if I'm buying in a complex? Is there some sort of a difference here? So would I have to have these considerations as I go about wanting to own my first property and I'm excited? I have 15 million and I'm feeling that, hey, I wish. So yeah, when you feel like you have this money and you want to just now, be as comfortable as you can, and then you are going into this property, would it differ whether I'm buying a standalone, I'm going into a complex? Are these some of the things that I would need to consider?
Yes. So when you're looking at your sectional titles, that's more of your apartments. That's when you're going to be paying both levies and rates and taxes. Yeah. But when you're looking at your standalone houses or your freestanding, that's when you're only looking at your rates and taxes. But now in some areas, I recently found out that there's that community thing that goes on where everybody does actually take out a certain amount.
Of some sort.
So it's not legally registered whereby you actually paying the body corporate. However, you do pay that amount. But most of the time with freestanding properties, it's just your rates and taxes.
And the sad part, I'm sorry about that, right? The sad part, if you're going via the apartments, and now let's just say that a lot of people are not paying their levies. Now that's where you see it deteriorating. Whereas with the freestanding, I have control in maintaining.
What is happening? Because I wanted to come in there to say, can I dispute it? Can I now hold whoever, the body corporate, accountable to say that for the longest of time, there's been a pothole here, at the entrance of the complex, and it doesn't look like anyone is doing anything about it. For the longest of time, maybe probably when I moved in, there would be some guys that come every 2 months to fumigate, but that is not happening anymore. Can I then, query these things? Can I question these things? Can I boycott these things to say that I'm not getting the best out of what you are selling here, and maybe initially it was great, but now I'm not getting the best. Can I then do something about it?
So, I mean, as I did mention, imagine if 90% of us, let's say it's 100 of us living in that complex, and 90% are not paying. So that does put a whole lot of pressure in terms of the body corporate making sure that everything is run in order. And ultimately, it's going to catch up with us on the value of the property. So that's something that we need to be very mindful of. If we don't pay these, it's going to affect our price.
So you basically need to go into this sober, all right? You need to basically also then do best in terms of keeping to your end, so that the other party can keep to their end as well. Can you find yourself maybe probably blacklisted, get into trouble maybe with the if we say I owned this place and I was a bad I had a bad record here, or I was renting a flat and then I have a bad record because they even ended up checking me out or locking me out. Do I carry that with me as I go along into this space, and what would that be a disadvantage as well to me owning my next property?
Okay, so as far as your credit score, I'm not aware of anybody who has actually came to us and say that, guys, I've actually gotten blacklisted because of not paying levies. No.
But what municipalities are doing right now is that they are actually working with collectors, debt collectors, because now they notice that some people are not really phased. So what then happens is that they'll hand you over, and then they would then put pressure on you in terms of, in fact, you know that you're owing X amount, we need to start paying, or else it's going to affect you.
Can they kick me out?
In America, we had a conversation. We had a conversation with another lady in the States. She was like, "Gents, 3 months, if you're not paying, they deal with you fast." So this side, it can get to about 30 years or even transferring the property
to the next person.
Yeah, so kicking out, it's really extreme. So this side, we haven't seen that happen. But yeah.
I don't know, man. What would you guys propose? You're in this space, right? What would work, and make your work easier as well as you go into this space? Would it be some sort of a harsher penalty? Or would you say that looking at the socioeconomic challenges that we're faced with right now, a lot of people as well losing their jobs, others, it's hard for them to keep their properties. So it would really be even harsher for you to impose penalties that are harsher to someone that is not keeping up to their levies or even taxes here.
So for me, man, let me just bite it straight up, right? I would say that let's go harsh because, as I did mention, if let's say it's the three of us and I'm not paying, ultimately me not paying is affecting your guys' property, the maintenance and the price ultimately. So I would say let's be harsh on it and let's commit.
Lebo, are you also harsh?
Yeah.
I thought your approach would be different to now. Yeah,
I think my fellow property investors will hate us after this. Yeah. But I think the harsh way is the only way to go because now at the end of the day, if I'm having my tenant coming in and they're getting to a place that has weeds around, you won't be happy with it. But now, if you're looking for delivery from the body corporate, however, you're not paying on a monthly basis, now how do you balance that? So I think that the harsh way would be the way to go.
So I hope you're learning as much as we are learning here at home this morning, and you would approach this property space with a sober mind, knowing very well what your obligations are and how this then might even catch up with you in the long run. With a minute that's left, I want to find out, guys, what's happening with the property? Where is it? Has it moved?
Yeah. So today we met up with the estate agent and we actually we're getting tenants in.
Nice.
So we're getting tenants in to wait while the interest rate does go down a bit, hoping the bricks will ultimately pay off, man. So we're getting tenants in the property, man.
That's great, man. And you said something about September, that there's something that you guys are doing.
Yeah, on the 2nd of September, we are hosting a property investing workshop because we're seeing that a lot of people don't get access to such information. So we're opening up doors and we're saying that everybody come through, let's learn everything about property investing. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go over to our Instagram page and then you can get all of the information.
Yes, give us those details and the website as well so that we can follow your work. It's an exciting one, the 2nd of September.
Yes.
Awesome. So where do we, who are you guys again? By the way, sorry, the Nong brothers are here. So how do we actually follow you guys on Instagram as well?
Okay, so it's Nong Wealth on all social media platforms, the website, Instagram, TikTok, and also YouTube. That's where you also find all that information. So.
Awesome. So it's going to be here in Gauteng?
Yes, it's going to be in Midrand.
In Midrand.
Yeah, or you can get your ticket on Quicket.
Cool. So just check them out on Instagram, Nong Wealth, and their website as well. I'm sure all of these details will be there, but let's learn about this property space. Let's go into it armed with so much information so that you don't get lost. And at least the brothers are here. They will help you. They'll hold your hand. And I'm happy about the property that at least there's a little bit of a move there. It will prepare us for our next project. Right?
Of course.
Have you identified, do you know where to in terms of the next project?
Yes. Because we deal with clients on a daily basis, we are forced to always be checking on the market. So there are a couple of properties that we are actually seeing in the market right now.
Awesome. Oleboheng and Neo Nong, my guests this morning, coming through from Nong Wealth. They are the Nong brothers, dynamic duo, just here in studio with us, just wrapping the day up, or just wrapping the show up with us as we welcome a new day. But remember, Power Up is next, and they'll take you all the way to 6 o'clock. Do follow them, Nong Wealth on Instagram. Do follow the work that they're doing. They're doing amazing work. So let's just rally behind also this workshop and learn as much as we can about the property space. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming through. It's always lovely.
Much appreciated.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Aha! It's always exciting, man. It's always exciting coming back from an interview, man. Shout out to everybody again.
Man, I really appreciate you guys plugging us, man, because us being on Power FM, it's not through our strength, but it's through you guys saying that, you know what, gents, let us plug you in. And I really urge, if you guys have more plugs, guys, make sure that you plug the boys, because what you are doing by plugging us, we are sharing information and saving people when it comes to property investing. So if you have listened until this far, please hit what can we do this so that we can confuse people. People must be shocked with if you've listened until this far, sharper us with the
Invest like a pro.
invest like a pro.
Hashtag invest like a pro.
That
man.
works.
Hashtag and then invest like a pro. And then the last one that I also wanted to say,
Yeah.
invest like a pro. Invest like a pro, man. Invest like a pro. Oh, wow.
Sure.
Cheers.